In this video, we are going to be talking all about angel numbers. This is one of these topics that I've received a lot of questions about, and rightfully so, because I feel like this is one of those things that we first become conscious of when we first awaken or start our spiritual journey. So there's a lot of information out there, and I think what's really important is how you are able to build a practice with these synchronicities. So we will be looking at the high vibration of each number as well as the shadow aspect, because I feel like that is something that's really important as well, and how you can use this to decode and make this a personal practice for you. Numbers are ancient. Angel numbers are not. The way that we understand angel numbers in modern day is very much a new age interpretation. However, the fact that numbers hold frequency and energy and symbolism behind them is very much thousands of years old and has been seen throughout many different ancient traditions, as well as being known as one of the oldest forms of divination. There is Pythagorean numerology as traditions in Chinese, Egyptian, and Indian cultures that have all explored the deeper significance of numbers, as well as gematria, which is practiced in Jewish mysticism. So there's no secret that numbers do hold a lot of weight and they have a lot of meaning behind them. What matters the most is really your relationship to these numbers. Being able to identify or feel what it is that you're feeling, what it is that you're thinking, maybe even where you're going when you're seeing these numbers is really going to help you build your own practice. For example, I am someone, whenever I see numbers, for me, I consider it as just alignment. I don't really try to dig too deep into it. However, I do have a very specific series of numbers that over time I have built and established within my system, my spiritual practice, I guess you could say my matrix, so that when I see that specific series of numbers, I kind of know what's going to happen next. These are kind of like your codes to communicate with your angels, your ancestors, or whatever it is that you believe in. And it is a personal practice. It is something that you can truly make yours. Because I am someone that practices from a very grounded place and a very no bullshit place, there is also, I feel like this is also something worth mentioning as well, from a psychological and evolutionary perspective. The way that we see numbers or notice numbers really also is our biology, and I feel like that is something to consider. So we have something in our brains called the reticular activating system, and this is basically what helps us filter out what's important and what isn't important. So if we find significance in something, it is likely that we will see it more often because our brain has already filed that as something that's important. It's like when you get a new car and you have a very specific model, make, and color, and once you buy that new car, you start to notice your new car pretty much everywhere. That is our reticular activating system at work. Sometimes when you notice a number and then you start to see it everywhere and you're like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? What is this? Especially in such a digital world that we live in right now, I feel like it is very common or often for us to see specific numbers. So that's just to kind of like ground you a little. I feel like that's important information for you to consider. However, you are able to program certain things so that they are something magical, and this is a sign from your ancestors or from someone that has passed or angels. That is something that you can also do. Let's get into the frequency of the numbers. So I'm going to be talking about the commonly associated energy with the balanced version of the number, as well as the shadow aspect. And the reason why I am including this, because this could also be a way that you can consciously do shadow work. So for example, if you see a certain number, not only can you look at like the bright side of things, but you can also kind of ask yourself deeper, meaningful questions in the moment. Of course, based off of like how you feel in the moment. So let's get into it. Let's start with number 1. So if you see 1111, that is something that's really common. 1 is a very masculine number. So this is all about initiation, starting something, right? So whenever we see 1111, that is also something that's connected with manifesting your dream life, 1111, make a wish. It's tied to that, but it's also a sign for you to take initiative and take action on that manifestation. Now, the shadow aspect of 1 could be maybe like taking control over something that you don't need to take control over, or aggression, being very impulsive or very reactive even. So if you were to see 1111 or 111 and it feels significant to you, that is something that you can pause and reflect, check in with your body, see how you're feeling, and ask yourself certain questions. For me, spirituality is as above, so below. We have to look at all things. We have to look at all perspectives. That's just a little tip from me to you. 2 talks about balance. It can talk about partnership. It can also talk about unity. But on the unbalanced portion, 222 can talk about codependence. This can talk about disharmony, maybe even tension. Now the number 3 is connected to Jupiter. It represents creativity, expansion, joyfulness, playfulness. And in the imbalanced side can be like overindulgence, scattered, or even avoidant. 4 talks about structure. Think of on a chair or a table how there's always 4 legs. This is stability, structure, routine. And the imbalanced version would be being very rigid, or being very maybe even hard on yourself, or controlling or limiting. Number 5 is all about freedom. It's about being versatile. It's about change. It can be connected to creativity as well. It is a very adaptive number. The shadow aspect could be restless or reckless even, or impulsive. 6 is this energy of balance. It's this energy of harmony, nurturing, being very giving, and the imbalanced version could be controlling. 7 is connected to spiritual wisdom, insight, intellect, knowledge, and on the shadow aspect can be associated to being isolated, maybe withdrawn, distrustful, or not trusting yourself. 8, it's connected to power, authority. I know the common perception of 8 is money, and that's kind of where that comes from, the power and authority, the discipline, the hard work. Because if we're thinking of like how Saturn activates or just is as a planet, and then the shadow aspect of that can be materialistic, or someone who is very harsh, maybe with their words, or just very harsh like to other people. 9 is all about completion. This is also all about humanity as a whole, being very selfless. And then the shadow aspect can be very resentful or emotionally overwhelmed, or even like the savior complex. We see that a lot with the energy of 9. I hope this video was helpful for you. Like I said, I'm a very like no bullshit spiritualist, so I like to show all sides of everything. And I think that this will also help you dive deeper into the meanings of these numbers and really check in with yourself. But this journey is 100% up to you. You can personalize it based off of your own practice. And as you begin to learn more about the occult in general, the mysteries of this life, you will begin to really hone in and like make this personal for you and make it very fun, because that is where the magic is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.